Here you had an interesting experience recently at the train station down in Harrisburg.
I certainly did. I was headed to Washington, D.C. Via Harrisburg and Philadelphia for Mother's Day. And I found myself alone in the Harrisburg train station late in the evening, or so I thought. And then I saw a young woman all the way down at the end of the waiting area on a bench, and she was apparently very upset, and she was using language that I'm not familiar with, or I'm familiar with and prefer not to use. But I thought, oh, I better stay away from this situation. I don't know what's going on with her. And so I kind of backed off and I went up to the other end of the station and I waited. And finally, another person appeared on the scene, which turned out to be her father. And she apparently had missed her train to Philadelphia. And her father asked me if I was going on the same train, that he felt uncomfortable now. At this point, his daughter was very distraught because she had missed the train that she was supposed to take and was to meet her boyfriend's mother for the first time. Not a good impression. So he said he a little bit interrogated me to make sure I was okay before he put me in charge of his 26-year-old daughter. And so I said I would be happy to look after her. And so we ended up on the same seat on the train. And we sat and talked a little bit. And in the train station, her father, one of the questions he had asked me was, what do I do? I think he wanted to know what I do for a living. And I told him. And he said he was a professor at Lebanon Valley College. And he said that he writes books. And I thought, oh, interesting. I write books too. And we started a conversation. And he asked me what kind of books I write. And we talked a little bit about that. But his daughter apparently wanted to know more about what kind of books I write. And so I shared with her that I write books. They're motivational books, and that I'm a public speaker, and that I speak at women's conferences. And most of my books or my presentations are 50% humor and 50% a serious biblical message. And she got quiet for a moment, and she didn't say too much. And then she said, well, for instance, and I went on to share with her how God changed my life. One of not walking with the Lord to one to having a really close relationship with the Lord. And that is what brings peace and happiness and contentment, true peace. She said, no one ever spoke to me about things about the Lord or God or Jesus or anything like that. She said, in fact, in my faith, she said, I'm not so sure about a lot of things. She said, I have a lot of questions. So I thought I would just ask her one of her questions. And she asked me a question, and I answered her from Scripture. And we just got to talking, and she said, with the tears coming down her eyes, her cheeks, she said, I think I was supposed to miss that train. She said, no one has ever talked to me about things like that. And of course she was shocked. I really liked her right away because she thought I was 50 years old. So we got on from then on. That was really good, So when I told her my age, things she was still okay with me, okay? But we had a wonderful conversation about the Lord, and she said I was the first person that ever talked to her about Jesus, and that she would like to know more. And she said, would you mind if we got in touch with each other? She said, I'll give you my email address. I work for the Senate in Harrisburg, and I would just like to know more. And I said, I would love to do that. So on the note that she gave me with her email address, she said, don't forget, we have a lunch appointment, with a smiley face. And when she left the train, she gave me a hug. She said, you don't know how much I needed to hear what you had to say today. And so we parted with a big hug. I felt like we had known each other for a week. And so I'm looking forward to meeting her and having lunch with her. And the most interesting part of it is I'm going to be teaching, or started to teach, a series on doors. And the first door that I was going to do in the new infusion class was the door of opportunity. That God gives us a window of opportunity. And he wants us to use that window of opportunity. And I felt that was a perfect example of what I would be teaching in the class that Sunday, that window of opportunity. And I was so thankful that I had it. And we are given those, and it's up to us what we're going to do with them. But he opens the door, and then he closes the door. And so we really need to make use of that opportunity. And it was really a great experience. And I'm really looking forward now to a lunch date with her.
That's great. Thanks, Vita. Thanks for following God's lead and doing what he asked you to do.
Oh, my privilege. it was exciting. I was on cloud nine. I really was. I was